Principle 1. The principle of the present. Learning to live in the here and now. The first principle in Bernhard Mostel Shaolin, How to Win Without Fighting, is the principle of the present. Its central message is simple but extremely powerful. Do not lose yourself in the past. Do not run after the future. Live in the here and now. The author explains that much of our unhappiness comes from not fully experiencing the moment we are actually living. Our body may be sitting in the present, but our mind is often somewhere else, remembering the past, worrying about the future, or waiting for a better moment. The Shaolin approach teaches us to bring our attention back to this moment. 1. We rarely live in the moment. Think about an ordinary day. You may be studying, but your mind is thinking about yesterday's mistake. You may be eating, but you're thinking about tomorrow's work. You may be talking to someone, but instead of listening, you are thinking about what you will say next. Physically, you are present. Mentally, you are somewhere else. This is one of the main problems the principle addresses. People often tell themselves, I'll be happy when I get a good job. I'll start enjoying life after I become successful. I'll travel when I have enough money. I'll have time for myself after retirement. I'll do what I really want later. The problem is that later is never guaranteed. We continuously postpone life for some imagined future. The author asks us to recognize that life is not something that begins after we finish our responsibilities. Life is happening right now. 2. Every moment is a part of your life. The book emphasizes that every moment deserves our attention because every moment is part of our life. Imagine that your entire life is a book. Each moment is like one page. Once you turn a page, you cannot go back and rewrite that exact moment. You can remember it, learn from it, or regret it, but you cannot experience it again in exactly the same way. Therefore, the present moment has something very special about it. It exists only once. Even if tomorrow you visit the same place, meet the same person, or do the same activity, it will not be exactly the same moment. This is why the author says that every moment is unique. 3. The story of the wise man and the tiger. One of the most memorable examples in this principle is the story of a man who is being chased by a tiger. The man runs away and eventually finds himself hanging from a branch on the edge of a cliff. Above him is the tiger. Below him is the dangerous abyss. He cannot easily move in either direction. Then he notices a beautiful strawberry growing nearby. Instead of spending his final moments only thinking about the tiger or the danger below, he picks the strawberry, eats it, and enjoys its taste. The important point of this story is not the strawberry itself. The deeper message is, the man experiences the moment that is actually available to him. He cannot control the tiger. He cannot control the cliff. He cannot change the situation, but he can control how he experiences the present moment. This is an important Shaolin lesson. We often waste the present by worrying about things that we cannot control. For example, suppose you are waiting for an important result. You cannot change the result at that moment, but you can spend those hours worrying continuously, or you can live those hours normally. The situation may be the same. Your experience of the situation can be completely different. 4. Do not judge every moment as good or bad. Another important idea in this principle is acceptance without immediate judgment. We naturally label experiences. This is good. This is bad. This should not have happened. This should have happened differently. But when we judge every moment immediately, we often create additional suffering. Imagine that it starts raining when you plan to go outside. You might think, today is ruined. But the rain itself is simply rain. Your judgment, this is terrible, is something you add to the experience. The Shaolin principle teaches us to first accept what is happening and then decide what to do about it. Acceptance does not mean that you approve of everything. It means, this is what is happening right now. I will see it clearly before I react. That creates mental space. 5. Living in the present does not mean ignoring the future. This is an important distinction. Living in the present does not mean never making plans, never thinking about tomorrow, ignoring responsibilities, refusing to prepare for the future. Planning is useful. The problem begins when the future becomes more important than the present. For example, suppose you're preparing for an exam. You should obviously think about your future exam and prepare for it. But while studying, constantly thinking, what if I fail? What will happen next year? What will people think of me? Can prevent you from actually studying. The better approach is plan for the future, but act in the present. Your future is created through what you do now. 6. The danger of putting life on hold. The book strongly criticizes the habit of putting life on hold. People often divide their lives into stages. First, I will finish my studies. Then I will get a job. Then I will earn money. Then I will become successful. Then I will relax. Then I will enjoy life. But when one goal is achieved, another goal usually appears. So the person keeps saying, later, and years can pass while the person is waiting for the right time. The author asks us to question this habit. What if the perfect time never arrives? What if you spend your entire life preparing to live instead of actually living? The lesson is not to abandon ambition. Rather, it is to enjoy the journey while pursuing your goals. 7. The present is all you can actually experience. You can remember yesterday, but you cannot return to it. You can imagine tomorrow, but you cannot live it yet. The only moment you can actually experience is now. This is why the principle places so much importance on the present. Think about your breath. You cannot breathe yesterday's breath. You cannot breathe tomorrow's breath. You can only breathe this breath. That makes the breath a simple way of returning your attention to the present. The book even gives an exercise based on conscious breathing. You simply stop for a moment and observe your breath. Feel your lungs expanding. Feel your chest moving. Notice your stomach. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. Instead of thinking about everything else, give your complete attention to breathing. For a short period, you're simply here. 8. The 20-moment exercise. Another exercise in the chapter asks you to consciously experience a series of moments. The purpose is to discover whether you are actually present or whether your mind keeps escaping somewhere else. For example, while drinking tea, are you actually tasting the tea? Or are you thinking about your phone? While walking, are you actually experiencing the walk? Or are you thinking about an old conversation? While talking to someone, are you actually listening? Or are you preparing your response? This exercise reveals something important. Being physically present is not the same as being mentally present. True presence means giving your attention to what you are doing. 9. Animals naturally live in the present. The book uses animals, particularly birds, as an example. A bird does not constantly worry about whether it will find food next month. It responds to what is happening now. When it eats, it eats. When it flies, it flies. When it rests, it rests. Humans, however, have developed the ability to think about the past and future. This ability is extremely useful, but can also become a source of unnecessary suffering. We replay old conversations. We imagine future disasters. We worry about things that have not happened. We create imaginary problems and then emotionally experience them as if they were real. The Shaolin Principle teaches us to use our ability to think without allowing our thoughts to completely control our attention. 10. Don't live your life on hold. This is perhaps one of the strongest practical lessons from the chapter. Ask yourself, what am I waiting for? Are you waiting for more money, more confidence, a better opportunity, a perfect relationship, a successful career, more free time? The author encourages us to stop sacrificing the present completely for an uncertain future. For example, if you want to learn something, begin now. If you want to improve your communication, practice now. If you want to spend time with someone important, don't endlessly postpone it. If you want to enjoy a simple activity, allow yourself to enjoy it. You don't have to wait until your entire life becomes perfect. 11. The real meaning of living in the moment. Living in the moment does not mean doing whatever you feel like. It means give your full attention to the moment you are currently living. If you're studying, study. If you're eating, eat. If you're speaking to someone, listen. If you're walking, walk consciously. If you are resting, rest without constantly worrying about unfinished work. This sounds simple, but it is difficult because the mind constantly moves. The practice is to notice when your mind leaves the present and gently bring it back. You don't have to fight your thoughts. You simply recognize, my mind has gone somewhere else. Then return to what you are doing. 12. The biggest lesson of Principle 1. The deepest lesson is that life is not waiting for us in the future. Life is happening continuously in the present. Many people think happiness is a destination. They believe, once I achieve X, then I will finally be happy. But the moment they achieve X, they create another X. The result is that happiness is continuously postponed. The Shaolin Principle offers another way. Work toward the future, learn from the past, but live in the present. Use the past as a teacher, not as a prison. Use the future as a direction, not as a source of constant anxiety. And use the present as the place where your actual life happens. A simple way to practice this principle every day. Try this 5-step practice. 1. Stop. Pause whatever you're doing for a few seconds. 2. Breathe. Take a slow, conscious breath. 3. Observe. Notice what you can see, hear, and physically feel. 4. Accept. Don't immediately label the moment as good or bad. First, accept that it is happening. 5. Act. Ask yourself, what is the best thing I can do with this moment? Then do that. Final takeaway. The principle of the present teaches us that the present moment is not an obstacle between the past and the future. It is life itself. You cannot change the moment that has already passed. You cannot live the moment that has not arrived. But you can decide what you do with this moment. So don't constantly tell yourself, I will live when everything becomes better. Instead, learn to live while you're working towards something better. Study, but be present while studying. Work, but be present while working. Talk, but be present while talking. Eat, but actually taste your food. Walk, but actually experience the walk. Spend time with people, but actually be with them. Because one day, you may look back and realize that the moments you were waiting to enjoy were actually the moments you were already living. The past is gone. The future is uncertain. The present is the only moment you truly possess. That is the heart of Principle 1, the principle of the present. Principle 2, the principle of mindfulness. The second principle of Shaolin, how to win without fighting, is the principle of mindfulness. Its basic message is, pay attention to what is happening around you and within you. Learn to observe before you judge or react. Mindfulness means being fully aware of your body, thoughts, feelings, surroundings, and actions instead of moving through life automatically. 1. Mindfulness means paying attention. The book uses photography as an example. A good photographer does not simply point a camera at something and take a picture. First, they observe the landscape carefully, its light, colors, flowers, clouds, shadows, and atmosphere. Only after truly noticing these things can they capture the scene properly. The same applies to life. If we don't pay attention, we miss many things that are happening right in front of us. For example, while talking to someone, you may be thinking about your phone, your next task, or something that happened earlier. Your body is with that person, but your attention isn't. Mindfulness means actually being there. 2. Mindfulness requires practice. The author makes an important point. Mindfulness cannot be developed in one day. It is like learning to draw bamboo. You cannot simply look at bamboo once and become an expert artist. You have to observe it repeatedly. In the same way, mindfulness develops through continuous observation and practice. You gradually become more aware of your breathing, your body, your thoughts, your surroundings, your emotions, and your reactions. 3. Use all your senses. The book encourages us to become more aware through our senses. When you drink water, don't just swallow it automatically. Notice, how does it smell? How does it taste? How does it feel? When you see flowers, actually observe their colors and details. When you walk, feel your feet touching the ground. When you breathe, notice your chest and stomach moving. These simple activities train your mind to pay attention to reality instead of constantly wandering. Point 2. Mindfulness requires practice. The author makes an important point. Mindfulness cannot be developed in one day. It is like learning to draw bamboo. You cannot simply look at bamboo once and become an expert artist. You have to observe it repeatedly. In the same way, mindfulness develops through continuous observation and practice. You gradually become more aware of your breathing, your body, your thoughts, your surroundings, your emotions, and your reactions. 3. Use all your senses. The book encourages us to become more aware through our senses. When you drink water, don't just swallow it automatically. Notice, how does it smell? How does it taste? How does it feel? When you see flowers, actually observe their colors and details. When you walk, feel your feet touching the ground. When you breathe, notice your chest and stomach moving. These simple activities train your mind to pay attention to reality instead of constantly wandering. 4. Mindfulness is connected with happiness. The book explains that mindfulness can make us appreciate things that we normally ignore. Consider flowers. We might simply look at flowers and think they are beautiful. But with mindfulness, we begin to notice their color, fragrance, structure, and the relationship between flowers and bees. Suddenly, something ordinary becomes interesting. This teaches an important lesson. Happiness is often not about getting more things. It is about noticing more of what already exists. 5. Being non-judgmental. One of the most important parts of this principle is being non-judgmental. We naturally judge people and situations very quickly. We may think, he is weak, she is arrogant, he is not intelligent, that person cannot do this. But mindfulness asks us to observe before judging. The book gives the idea that we should respect people without immediately deciding what they are capable of. Someone who appears weak may actually be stronger than we imagine. Someone who appears inexperienced may have abilities we cannot see. Therefore, don't underestimate people, but don't overestimate them either. Observe them carefully and judge their abilities based on reality. 6. Trust your perceptions, but examine them. We learn from childhood to classify things as good or bad, useful or useless, strong or weak. But our judgments are not always correct. For example, you may see a person who looks quiet and assume that they are shy. You may see someone speaking confidently and assume that they are intelligent. But appearance does not always reveal reality. Mindfulness teaches us to observe carefully instead of depending completely on our first impression. 7. Mindfulness in daily life. You can practice this principle through very simple activities. When you eat, focus on the food. When you study, focus on studying. When someone speaks, listen carefully. When you walk, feel your steps. When you breathe, notice your breath. When you become angry, observe your anger before reacting. When you meet someone, observe them without immediately judging them. The goal is not to stop thinking. The goal is to become aware of your thinking. The main lesson. Principle 1 taught us to live in the present. Principle 2 teaches us how to be truly present through mindfulness. Being present means being here. Being mindful means actually noticing what is happening here. Instead of automatically reacting, observe. Instead of immediately judging, understand. Instead of overlooking ordinary things, notice them deeply. And instead of living on autopilot, become conscious of your body, mind, surroundings, and actions. In one simple sentence, mindfulness means paying full attention to life as it is, before deciding how to react to it. Principle 3. The principle of resoluteness. Main idea. Do things wholeheartedly, or don't do them at all. Resoluteness means having a firm decision and strong determination to do something, rather than simply wanting to do it.